Greetings, fellow Arrow fans. Well, welcome to Arrowverse August 2025, and this month we're going to be taking a look at Arrow Season 5. So let's take a look at the first episode of said season, which is Legacy. The scene opens at a ball, where Mayor Oliver Queen is late and the police division is upset about it. They display obstruction with their police commander while Oliver battles troublemakers on an ensemble in Chinatown. Thank you. Okay. Over the span of his battle, Oliver sees an enormous gadget that has various little bombs tied to it. Blinding Machine is the perpetrator. Keeping in mind that Oliver takes him out, a man in a hockey cover attempts to incapacitate the bomb. Felicity is as of now doing it remotely, however, and Oliver throws the man to the side, berating him to remain the roads. Oliver shoots him in the knee. At the police office affair, Oliver ultimately annoys the police by telling columnists that they're investigating claims of police defilement. Theo refers Oliver needs to start thinking responsibly. In flashbacks, Oliver is in an underground battle club in Russia, and a mistman begins to show signs of improvement of him until Oliver stifles him out, breaks his neck, and executes him. Afterward, according to attributes give him cash, yet Oliver says he needs intel on Kovar. Someone from the Bravo comes up and takes him out with a dirty cattle push. Back at the prison, Felicity is gathering intel on different vigilantes around and needs Oliver to frame another Team Arrow. He's safe. Gathering degenerate cops break into a medication lair and phony a shootout between rival posses so they can take the firearms and medications. Another gathering of men comes in with heavier big guns. The pioneer of the gathering beats the lead cop into obviousness and pronounces himself as the new chief. Tobias Church, the man who killed the messy cop, is a criminal who has invested energy in Hub City and Bloodhaven. With the dead cop down out and his kin now leaderless, a CSI recommends searching out Lance, who is back around. Oliver goes to visit Lance, who is gravely hungover. Don left him, he advanced back and crept into a jug. He challenges Oliver on being a non-attended City Hall leader. Oliver proposes Lance should come work with Team Arrow when Diggle and Theo return. Lance rejects him and chooses drink more. Oliver welcomes him to go to a function respecting Laurel. In the flashbacks, Oliver is awakening attached to his seat, being dressed about slaughtering the speaker's best contender. He has the book that Oliver's dad gave him and is pursuing off names. Oliver demands the man supplant the book. However, the man needs to realize what it implies. Oliver reveals to him that it was my father's. I'm holding on to utilize it. And the man is closest to him that will never occur and puts a web to Oliver's head. At the sanctuary, Oliver's jettisoned his security detail. Once again discloses to Oliver that Team Arrow isn't returning and that he needs more assistance to take on Church and his group. Oliver is the key to another group. He advises Felicity to find Church. Oliver leaves. Curtis comes in, and Felicity persuades him to go look at a location she has for Wild Dog, where they're calling the man in the hockey cover. Driving around in the rear of a truck, Church advises his team that to be truly responsible for the city, they have to bring down the greatest person, and that is Green Arrow. They will get Lure. On the docks, Oliver discloses a sculpture for Black Canary. He suppressed plummets on him. The function is hindered by gathering of Church's men, who shoot up certain cops and seize Oliver. At the den, Felicity needs Thea to get ready. If Thea needs her to investigate different well springs of intel to follow the taken SWAT truck, which is utilized to capture Oliver and the others. Oliver tells Church that he is burning through his time, that Green Arrow isn't coming. He goes to Church at the event that he releases different prisoners, will ensure Green Arrow appears. However, Church rejects him. After Oliver finds Church puts a sack over Oliver's head and punches him. This way lets one know of his men, a messy cop, to bring Oliver somewhere and show him a few habits. In the flashbacks, I'm butchering this. Yazeb appears without a moment despair to forestall the broad of a man from slaughtering Oliver and requests the man to leave. He hopes Oliver spoke with him till Oliver reminds him to drop it. Until he disengages Oliver's thumb to get him out of the bonds, something he says Oliver can instruct himself to do. The two are glad to see each other. However, Oliver discloses to Anatoly that he's here to slaughter Konstantin Kovar. Anatoly discloses to him that if that's the situation, he did Oliver no favors by sparing his life. At the nest, Lance comes and discloses to Thea that he has an area on Church, utilizing the city traffic cameras to give Green Arrow an approach to discover him. He advises Thea to get out there and battle, and she says she can't. She at long last feels ordinary, and she's frightened of losing genuine life like Laurel did. Lance discloses to her that he comprehends the need to talk about life, yet that he can't. They have to continue ahead with it. In the private cabin of the force plant where Church and the prisoners, and group of individuals of the city committee are, the filthy cop fires thrashing on Oliver, who tells the man that on the off chance that you hit me once more, I'll execute you. The guard reveals to him he is preposterous. However, Oliver disengages his thumbs and broken liberated from the seat. He murders the man, insisting that no one can know his secret. Afterward, he and Speedy, who has recently showed up, make their departure. Oliver clarifying they can't spare the prisoners without setting off some safeguards that would slaughter all the prisoners. At the sanctuary, Oliver and Thea contend about whether they should be allowed to use deadly force. Oliver says he's finished holding back, citing him not killing Dark as soon as possible would spare Laurel's life. He discloses to Thea that Malcolm Merlin was correct, and that Oliver must be happy to do whatever is fundamental or he shouldn't be out there. Thea says that's the reason she can't do it until the end of time. Wesley Bye-Bye attempts to sell Oliver the possibility of another Team Arrow. She reveals to him that they're as of now out there in the city with or without his approval, however he says it to prepare them. Wesley instructs him to recollect the guarantee he made to Laura on deathbed. However, Oliver, despite everything, isn't hearing what she needs to state. Back in Russia, Anatoly cautions Oliver that Kovar has the military behind him. However, reveals to him that if Oliver needs to hear him out, he can get him near the man. He reveals to Oliver that the shark doesn't swim, suffocates, and that Oliver needs to overlook the guarantee he made previously and proceed onward. Oliver inquires as to whether he's going to help or not, and Kiazov says yes. Curtis, strolling around a terrible piece of town, calls Felicity by Wild Duck before being jumped and robbed. At the Black Canary sculpture at the waterfront, Oliver calls Diggle and gets a phone message. Lance joins Oliver, who becomes to percept about the shark back to Lance. The pair consent to push ahead together. Lance gives him a dossier of a little bunch of officials to support Oliver, as Mayor and as Green Arrow push ahead. Oliver concurs in a flash, seeing as what Laurel would have needed. Afterwards streaks back to Laurel's withering solicitation that she not be the last Black Canary. Just that way, a piece of her will consistently be out there with Oliver. At the first plane where Church has the prisoners, Lance has a few cops to penetrate the structure while Oliver and Felicity exchange about whether they're a group. Church, playing Doug Goose with the councilman, is going to assault with a home run stick, and Green Arrow and the cops attack. While the cops center around the prisoners, Oliver takes on Church. When the cop sees that the structure is at risk for detonating, Oliver isn't eager to leave without arresting Church. The police get the board to security, and Oliver clears his path through detonating the power plant. Shooting a catching bolt on Church's getting away from helicopter. The two battle within it, yet Church escapes Oliver utilizing the stunt bolt to parachute away. The following morning, Oliver presents the anti-crime initiative that the police middle have been pushing, framing a hostile to crime unit of Lance's prescribed officials who answer straightforwardly to the mayor's office. Tobias Church, in the interim, has united the tops of the neighborhood packs, including the Bertinelli family. Church is Bertinelli killed by one of his own men when he challenges Church's position. At the sanctuary, Felicity Bye-Bye pushes Oliver in the new group, and he yields, walking with documents on Wild Duck up on screen. Curtis, wounded and bloodied, appears to request he join Team Arrow as well. In Russia, Anatoly discloses to Oliver that the main expectation he needs to run Kovar is joining the Bratva. He says the Inception may murder him if he's not cautious, and places him in the focal point of a room loaded with goons. Discloses him on the off chance that he endures he could start the way toward turning out to be Bratva. The men jump Oliver. Afterward, Oliver and Diggle are talking through Skype. Oliver asks Diggle whether he figures they should assemble another group, and Diggle says yes. Oliver, somewhat disillusioned, Diggle isn't sticking to the past as he was, and Diggle solicits what the status is from Oliver's relationship with Felicity. Felicity, in the interim, heads home and sits on the lounge chair, getting backup from a man who is distinctively not Oliver. Outside of the police division, one of the cops from the counter wrongdoing unit is going home and he's assaulted by a man in a dark hood, utilizing a bow on various edges. The man executes him. Dun dun dun. So yeah, let's take a look at some trivia from this episode. This is the first episode of Arrow to feature Echo Kellum as a series regular. While Oliver had discussed the former's mayoral duties, Oliver mentions that he learned everything he knows about politics from the West Wing. The political drama TV series The West Wing is referenced, which was broadcast from 1999 to 2006. Oliver reminds Thea she once told him the dead don't want anything. Thea said this in honor of thy father. Oliver breaking the neck of the corrupt cop after freeing himself from the chair mirrors the way he killed his kidnapper in the pilot, along with the line, "I'm sorry, but nobody can know my secret." The Green Arrow sketch was made by Neil Adams. Felicity slightly misquotes the definition of team on dictionary.com, saying that a team is a group of persons associated with a joint action. The original definition states that a team is a number of persons associated in some joint action. Angela Kasnav returns in this episode, having not been seen since the season 2 finale Unthinkable. This is the first Arrow season premiere to not start with Oliver running through a forest. Season 1 and Season 2 was on Lian Yu. Season 3 was a line of trees / bushes alongside a train route, and Season 4 was a park near Oliver and Felicity's home. This season, it goes straight to one of Oliver's events as mayor. The cowl-goggled individual who's pictured on Felicity's computer as she's talking to Oliver about crime fighters he could recruit is a DC Comics character simply known as Vigilante, who would become a recurring character this season and next season. And now finally, let's take a look at some goofs. When Oliver's being attacked by several Solntiesev Kaya Bratva, I'm sorry, that was the first word, members, as the first step of the initiation, a sign of Vancouver landmark Parker Street Studios is seen in the background, which take away that Krasnoyarsk scenes were actually filmed in Vancouver. Oliver reads an article about him from the Star City Star by David McLean. However, this is impossible since McLean was confirmed to be one of the casualties of the undertaking. The flashback of Laurel's final words from 11:59 is different from what actually happened. Laurel's line, "Because tonight was just a reminder that anything can happen, which is why I need you to promise me something," was changed to, "After tonight, or else anything can happen, which is why I need you to make me a promise." Laurel's hospital bed has none of the side rails up. The upper side rails are always up unless staff is present at the bedside to prevent patients from falling out of bed. One reverse to Tobias Church's practice of putting coins on the victims as his M.O. M.O., modus operandi, versus the practical aspects of the crime, how the criminal carries the deed out. The coins are what would be called Church's signature. The map behind John shows the countries Croatia and Serbia. However, one can clearly see that the city of Belgrade is in Croatia and the city of Split is in Serbia. In reality, the reverse is true. Belgrade is the capital of Serbia, while Split is a city in Croatia, so the map behind John is incorrect. So I think it's a pretty unique way to start the season, and yeah, I just wonder who that mystery person was who killed that officer, but anyway. So overall, I give Legacy 4 arrowheads out of 5. My name is Tuna Bits. Wait till the next episode, The Recruits. So, until then, in the words of Oliver Queen, you have failed this city.